So everybody, it's Matt Schmidt here, and today we're going to talk about pixels. Now, there's two types of pixels we're going to cover today: retargeting and conversion. Some people, if you're early, if you're starting off, you could get these ones confused. They are a bit confusing, but we're going to help out, and we're going to help you get past that as much as possible. We're going to talk about conversion pixels for the most part, and kind of my understanding and rationale around the niche pixel versus the master pixel versus do I share somebody's master pixel, do we do any of this stuff, what's going on in the pixel world, and what we're currently using and testing and getting results with. So I hope that's cool. But what I'm trying to do is make sure that I convey that you as a business owner need to figure out what fits your model, and we'll go through that as well. Retargeting is pretty simple, and we'll go to that. But there's two types of pixels like we talked about: retargeting and conversion. Retargeting is something that, guys, it's pretty darn simple. Read my first line. The strategy around this is simple. You do it. I remember when retargeting came out in the fashion that it is now, that you could just build it off of like a Teespring page or something like that, and it really exploded. And people were hesitant to get into it, and skipped it over. I have a coaching client that has been doing 5K months. I'm sorry, $10,000 months, but he has never done a retargeting ad. And he did all the steps up to that point. He, laid the conversion pixel. He built the audiences, but for whatever reason, he just never did it. And he started doing that, and he's seeing an instant spike. I mean, there's some people that say that they get up to 20 to 30% or more on average of their straight up conversion from retargeting. Their overall conversion of your people in your ad, and it could. I've seen profitable campaigns that were solely only profitable because of the retargeting campaign. So if you guys are not doing this, raise your hand right now, so that I can scream at you and tell you to do it. No, I'm just kidding. But you really need to be doing it. There's we're talking about Facebook here. There are retargeting across other platforms. Teespring, Viral Style, both do retargeting. I believe Represent does retargeting for you on a local level and on Facebook, and in some regards. But at the same time, you need to be doing it on Facebook. If you can do the perfect audience and go out there, I can't run you through all that, but you should do it. You should look into it. You should YouTube it. You should find information around retargeting. It's huge. There's a couple people that teach retargeting that are masters at it, like Tanner Larson, and a few other people that have had solid retargeting courses that show tons and tons of revenue. And it's vital. So you are simply leaving money on the table if you're not doing it. So in terms of Facebook, hold up. In terms of Facebook, you have one retargeting pixel code for everything that you do. And the individual gatherings at the URL level, that's your website code, are in Facebook. So what does that exactly mean? When you go and do, I don't think I have any audiences in here. This is a just for boosting ads account. Oh, here you go. So we've done this before, and you can see the pixel is not installed. But we want to go ahead and say, switched up. Custom audience, website traffic. Now, there's two schools of thought on this. Will actually in our group, Will Riley in our group brought up a great point. I think it was in a different group though, about the audiences. And we've been doing this for a little bit, where you will see how it says maximum of 180 days. 180 days is a long time, really long time. And you could do an audience of 180 days. But imagine if you, as a business owner, were advertising to someone today, and your retargeting pixel kicked up tomorrow, and that person bought your shirt off your retargeting ad. 180 days from now, you could still be slamming that guy with the ad, the same ad as you got 180 days. Because I have shirts that I ran longer than 180 days now, and that's kind of a long time to be showing the same ad to somebody. So what can you do with that? You can have one audience that, and a couple of websites allow for this. So the proper way to do this is to you add your equals. The one I do here is 30 days. Whoops. So I do 30 days, and then you enter your exact URL address. Now you can use, like, if this was test shirt, you could do this where this is your URL that's now in there. So anybody that has your code and goes to this website will be thrown into this audience, right? But you could do this as well if you plan on launching this on more than one site. Now, I think a lot of people, and the difficult thing is too, is if you're launching on Teespring, and then for whatever reason you move to Viral Style and you want to launch the same shirt, you don't necessarily get the guarantee that this URL is open using this right here. So what I'm more comfortable doing is doing, google.com/test shirt. And if I ever need to, I can just add another keyword. I can add, google.com/other test. Okay? Does that make sense for you guys? Yeah, I go the URL equals route all the time. So I think somebody brought up a good point that if you do the other way, you can do contains. So if you're So that would be the correct way to do the this version. I like to do the URL equals so I can do the exact URL, knowing that all I need to do is switch or add something. And you can always create another custom audience too. It's a little harder to track. An easy way for you to keep track of these for further use is like saying nurse, then shirt, one, whatever, test shirt. And there you go. So it just tells you the niche. So if you ever were to come back, or if you were running multiple nurse shirts, you could hit this audience in the same time. Now, I think, here you go. This is where you would go, your Teespring /URL, URL contain, and then this one is the, and I forget this because I'm not on Teespring that actively, but I think it's something like this. So what is this going to do? This is going to, and this is the 180 days, right? So what you're going to be doing, and I forgot to add that you would put like the date number on here, the number of days. So this is your 180 day audience for the same URL as we were doing before, but you're excluding the people that hit the thank you page. So they're excluding the buyers. So in that 30-day window, outside that 30-day window, or in the last 180 days, people who buy are going to be excluded from that. And that'll be inside that 130 day, that 180 days and the 30 days. But in this audience, anybody that hits the thank you will not be shown. So anybody that in that previous audience outside of the 30 days won't get shown to that either, and they'll get dropped out of the audience. Does that make sense for you guys? My screen is out of focus. Better? Awesome. Okay, so it looks like it's better now. I got the majority of people saying yes, and then some people saying no. So no screen, Pat. You got to be on your end because I got a lot of people saying that they can see my screen. If you can't see if it looks blurry to you, I think that's on your guys' end as well. Maybe not. I don't know. It is like torrential downpour out here, so maybe my internet's not the best. So it could be that as well. So now we have two audiences. People are asking, let's do a real quick run through again. So you have two audience for the same shirt. You have one that's 180 days long. So you can have these people who visit your shirt, but then hit your thank you page with that same URL. So it's like if they hit this and they hit this, then they're excluded from this audience. Okay? So now within that whole, from today for 180 days from now, you know that these people are non-buyers. So you can continue to hit them over the next 180 days if you want on an evergreen type shirt. But the other audience that we did, we wanted to do within 30 days, and they're just going to hit this URL. This is the test shirt example that we had, the nurse test shirt. And the reason that we want them to be hit like this, because it could be the buyers again. Now, there's an advantage of hitting the buyers again. I've had multiple people who've bought and then been retargeted and then bought again for their friend. That is something that, or they were like, oh, I felt so great about that. I wanted to buy one for my mom too, or whatever the case may be. That's something you could consider as well. So, but outside that 30-day window, you don't want to hit those people over and over again who are buyers. Does that make sense? Because you're gonna make people mad. Jim brings up a point. Will this other method exclude people who hit the thank you page on other shirts? No, because they have to hit this page and then they have to hit this page. So you can hit this page all they want, but unless they hit this page, then they won't be retargeted. And if you're concerned about somehow them hitting both, there'd be a random chance for you to be promoting a shirt unless you're doing multiple shirts to a small page and only boosting it to that page. You'd have to have that person hit this page, go off, hit another page, buy it, and then get excluded from this too. But again, that other 180 day, the 30 day will still pick them up as well. So it's just you're hitting them in like a two-prong approach. And again, guys, when you're retargeting or you're running ads in general, it's not like a one in, one out system where the first guy that hits today is the guy that's going to be hit first in line on the retarget. Now, I do tell you that you need to be retargeting, right? So you need to be doing this, and I want you to do it right off the bat. So a lot of people are like, oh, when do I retarget? I tell people to retarget immediately because you want that first guy, the guy that hits the page on the first day, to get served the retargeting ad as soon as possible. Now imagine this. Imagine, some people, another internet marketer like myself had said like, oh, I do it on like day 4, or I sequence it. You can sequence it if you want, but what I like to do is just run an ad that says, did life get in the way, right? So if you did it on day 4, right, and say you have a very successful shirt, and then all of a sudden you have, by day 4, you have 500 people in your custom audience. And if you have a 7-day campaign and you're not pushing hard enough, or you're getting a lot of people in there, who's to say the guy from day 1 to day 3 gets served that audience, gets served that ad, right? Because they're stuffed in that pile with everybody else. And like I said, it's not a one in, one out system. So the key point that's important for you to know is that once an audience is ready and set, and Facebook has gathered enough people, the ad that you have will trigger, and then you can actually go and serve that up to them as much as you can. You can start it, you can make it go, and if you don't have enough people, then it will just sit there. So there's no harm, in my opinion, to doing it right off the bat. I don't know. Ali says that if you retarget right away, your custom audience will be too small, though, which means your Facebook will charge you more. Ali, the same rules apply. They're not going to charge you. I've never seen a retargeting ad ever cost me as much as the initial ad, ever. So your initial ad is already running, but a retargeting ad is always bringing in a higher amount of ROI because you're serving the ad up to this person for the second time. They've already seen it. They're already getting that's fresh in their mind. And what, in my opinion, is worse, I'll take a little bit. If it costs me, $1 per website click, which is always lower than that, on a retargeting ad, I have a better chance of converting that person than I do on an initial ad. Also, I'd rather have that person who saw it on day one hit it as soon as possible than having to wait 5 or 6 days or 4 days or whatever amount of time, because then it's not as fresh in their mind and they're less likely to buy. That's why retargeting ads work, is because they can see your site and then leave and immediately see it somewhere else. That's where that needs to happen. And you need to give that to your people as quickly as possible. And every time, or every bit of time that happens between then and now, that it's longer than it could have been, is less likely for them to buy. Yeah, I retarget using website conversion or click to website. The reason for that is that the goal is to get them to a website or get them back to the website, right? So it's all about your intention, right? So we're using PPE because I want to get in front of as many on the main ad for as many people to see it as possible. And I'm okay with a visit to the website. That's what my goal is. But then at the end of the day, if I get a share, I'm all right with that, or a comment or a like or whatever to pop it into somebody else's newsfeed and to keep the engagement high. I'm optimizing for engagement, so my engagement cost is lower and lower. On a retargeting ad, these are people who have already seen your website. Comments and shares and likes are not worth it to me at that point. I don't want that. I want to make it as easy as possible for that person to get back to that website, which is a link ad. Give them the biggest button as possible. I have, and somebody's asking about the, what does it look like? It's essentially the same ad. I always use native, what's called native ads now. So you'll have, it's just basically the shirt download thrown on the form-fitting dimensions, right? So the download of the shirt on a white background, for a click to website or a website conversion ad, traditional ads, you would use a 1200 by 628, and then you would use for PPE a 1200 by 1200. And then if you want to at all use anything, say this is my ad. So if this was a 1200 by 1200 ad image, this box down here, this little bar, this is a pretty good representation of how big I would do it in relation to the ad, would be like something like share with your friends or tag your friends below. Tag doesn't seem to work as well on the older audience because I think they don't know what it is. And then, but everybody is accustomed to what the word share means now. Thank you, Facebook. So Facebook's made it pretty clear of what sharing is. And I know that for a fact because my 65-year-old mother, I get notifications of her sharing something almost every single day. That's my little self-proof. All right, just going to go through a couple of the questions here before we move out of retargeting. So if you have something, let's talk about it. That's way too big. Let's do that. All right. That is the gem. That is the PPE text. On a website conversion, if you're not using a website conversion photo ad, you're using traditional link ads. Just here's a white, 1200 by 628 with the shirt as big as possible. Now, if your design's tough to see, or if you have a front to back, I push the shirt from the middle to the left. So the main, like showing that it's a shirt, make sure it's clear that it's a shirt that they're, clicking here, and then like download the design or have the design on the right and blown up. So it makes it clear that it's a shirt, but if they need help seeing the design, then they can see it as well. Also, the effect of having two things, one on each eyeball as it scrolls through your newsfeed, is kind of been proven to, kind of give people a little shock. Dean asks, why not only set up the second audience? Non-buyers will see the ads, buyers won't. Not sure why you need both of them. Because it's not a terrible thing for somebody who's bought, I think I explained that, to see it again. There's a couple of reasons I like that to happen. One, I've ran plenty of shirts that say, they go and say, "Oh, I just bought this, I love it," or something like that. They'll say that, they'll comment that. That's social proof, right? And they'll get a lot of those, and they vary, but that's a general theme: is bought one, or love this, got it for my friend, something like that in the comment section. So that's cool. That's social proof. But then again, I've had repeat buyers. Somebody that's come back and said, "Hey, I bought this, a week ago, but then I saw your ad again, and I just had to get it for my friend." It's not a bad thing. You just don't want to hammer them for the next 180 days after they bought. Yeah, Martin might be right. It might be thank _you. You guys have to check on that. It changes from site to site that you use. But again, I haven't been on Teespring recently enough to have known what that exactly was. Mark says, don't you have to wait till 20 people to hit the page before retargeting? Yes, you have to wait for 20 people to hit the audience before the ad will work. But you can have, you ever wonder if you guys ever seen like a retargeting ad, or anybody that's used a website, for my more experienced sellers, when you have a website conversion ad going against a custom audience and you're pushing it, you're trying to push it harder and harder, but it never gets its full daily reach. Well, it's because it's already hitting a lot of the people within that audience. Well, the same thing applies for when your conversion audience is, or your custom audience is just starting off. You'll burn through 20 people really, really fast, but at least it's getting in front of their eyeballs. I don't want it to wait till, it's 200 people or 500 people, because I want to get it in front of as many people as often as possible in that initial 30 days. When you stop the shirt campaign, how do you stop the retargeting? Brian, I'm not entirely sure I understand that one. All retargeting is an ad. So if you're looking to stop, if the shirt campaign stops and you want to stop the retargeting, just stop the ad. And then any of the retargeting that Teespring and Viral Style on those sites do for you will stop when the shirt campaign stops. How many people need in a custom audience before we can send retargeting ads? The traffic won't start until at least 20. For retargeting, we only use click to website. I've used both click to website and website conversion. I tend to use website conversion. I've been using more and more click to website, but what I love about click to website is you can just hammer them to death with that ad. And if you're trying to close out something, a click to website retargeting ad, Kenny Stevens of Represent showed me some data one time where his frequency was a 25 on his retargeting ad. But my gosh, was that thing profitable. It was a celebrity shirt, which isn't exactly fair comparison. But at the same time, I thought it was bad to get the frequency ticked up, but on retargeting, my school of thought is throw that thing in front of them as much as they possibly can. But you can, that's why we do the sequencing and the timing thing now too. So, I don't like, somebody's asking again about borders and colors and stuff. I don't like that stuff anymore, man. It's saturation of the eyeballs for people. The biggest sellers that I know right now just do native ads. The native ad gives a little bit more of a feel to it. Um, the whole concept of the red border was to catch people's eyes off guard. Well, your shirt should be doing that in anyway. So I mean, like your shirt is what's going to sell it, not the red border. So if your shirt's not sparking some interest on someone, or not taking them off, through the squirrel feed, and they're going to start looking at your shirt, then the red border wasn't going to get you to do the sale anyway. Do you post both ads on your fan page at the same time? No, Patrick, when you're creating a retargeting ad, do it so it's a dark post essentially. Don't do it for don't do it a live post. Yeah, sequential retargeting is a thing. You can do that, but when you're running 50 campaigns or so, sequential retargeting is tough. Also, what's much easier is just to change text on the landing page as an extra spark of interest, or of scarcity. So your headline of your Teespring page can go pretty quickly and without pausing your ad at any point in time, or closing and loading and so on and so forth. You can just change the headline to 4 days left, or 3 days left, 1 day left, 2 hours left. Some of my campaigns, if you go through my old list, it's tough to know what they exactly were because all it says is 1 hour left. If you're interested in doing sequential retargeting, the easiest thing in my mind would just be like creating 5 different retargeting ads and having them launch themselves on different days, and only run that ad for a short scheduled period of time. But again, that's a lot of work. Did life get in the way is a pretty solid question that's been proven to work very well at any point in time in the ad. I would. Is there a minimum size custom audience you would retarget to? No, I'd retarget to the minimum is 20 for the traffic to start, but I would get that up as soon as possible. What do you think about hitting the buyers with a discount or free shipping on another shirt? Is this a segmentation? Linda, that's a good question. I wouldn't do it to your buyers. And then I would definitely never do it to people who haven't bought if your buyers are included in that same audience. So if you're going to hit, well, I might be, if I'm understanding you correctly. I mean, if you're going to hit the buyers like the people that are actually in your Teespring messaging system, that's okay. Hit them with a discount. Say, hey, thank you for your purchase. I'd like to give you a 10% discount to use on this new shirt that we have. That's a great way to spark your campaign. But on a retargeting ad, I wouldn't mess around with that. I'm confused on which one you were asking there. Janet, it's a simple. Janet asked, "What text do you use for retargeting? Can you share?" Um, like I said, headline is. Let's do this. So headline. And I'd be consistent on capitalization. I don't know why I just did that, but make sure to get yours before it's gone. And then in your ad, I would say, limited edition. Order So depending on what you're running here, there's two types of things I would say. So order before the campaign ends uh, is something that I would do only if it doesn't. You're not trying to do it evergreen. If it actually is going to end, um, then do say that. So if you're going to say order for what is today? So order for the 18th to get order for the 18th to. That's a rough. We just started doing something like this. I saw it on a retargeting ad. Order before the 18th to get a shirt with this print, implying that it's not going to run forever. I'm sorry, that it is going to run forever, or it's going to be at least more than one print. And you're not lying to the people, and you're not going to get that objection down the road on your retargeting ads. So that's something I would put in like the description. This is the buy now or limited edition or whatever you want to do. If you do it in the Power Editor, you can actually do limited edition buy now. But if you do it in the Ads Manager, you have to take. It's not going to all fit. So I would just do buy now. Cool. Yep. Yes, Val. Randy, I don't understand the question. They are forced to the landing page with the click to website. They're not forced, but it's the ad is more the highest frequency you can go on any ad is a click to website. So it's quickly. Obviously anything can be the frequency can go high, but you can push an ad in front of people quicker on because you can go to click to website and not be the intention to buy, right? So a website conversion is only going to show that ad to you if they think that you're going to convert. Click to website is clicks. More people click than they do convert. So that's why a click to website, the frequency can go highest. PPE can do it as well, but we're not engaging. We're not interested in engagement anymore. These people have already engaged with your prior main ad, so you're getting them to the website now. Okay, yes, the replay will be in pi scaled. 300 custom audience. But when I tried to set up a Facebook, it said the audience was too small. Any idea what I'm doing wrong? No. Just make sure that for whatever the only thing that pops into my head is when I have a custom audience for certain niches, I have to be aware that not everybody is in the United States. So I'll have a 300 person custom audience, but only 100 of them are in the United States or within a certain age bracket. So I have to expand on that to catch and capture everybody. So that might be one of the issues. Also, there's a couple other things, but I need to see a screenshot. So you can either post it in the group or shoot me a message or something. Pixel conversion ad versus PPE ad. That's I'm not sure what you're asking there and what scenario. Henry, we haven't covered one pixel or multiple. We're covering retargeting right now, and that is next. Are you putting any other URL on your T-shirt page that will take a customer to a dad or mom's shirt? Each URL would have its own retargeting pixel. Are you putting any other URL on your Teespring page? Any other URL? Oh, you mean like a version, Judy? Like a mom version, dad version? Is that what you mean? Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit more complex, but the same rules apply, right? So you can have. She's asking like if I hyperlink something, like if this was my landing page description, and then I say like so if it's a sister shirt or something or a mom shirt, then I can have the dad hyperlinked here and say want a dad version, click here. So then this could be like a hyperlink that they click off. Now then you're going to need to capture the people that go to the dad page. It's going to be significantly less than whatever you're driving the traffic to, unless you have two independent ads. But the same rules apply. Anybody that clicks that dad shirt and that link might be interested in buying that. We're going to want to create a new custom audience based off the people that go to that new URL. It's the same retargeting pixel, right? So it'll be on there. Most of the crowdfunding sites just generally allow you to put it in the back end, so it applies to every page that's in your account. So all you need to do is capture it at that URL level that I was talking about. But yeah, no, anybody that would hit this, I'd retarget them with this because they show an intent. Matt, you keep mentioning Teespring. I do because 90% of my people are on Teespring, or whatever, 50% at least. Is this retargeting method not available on Represent? I have issues with trying to determine if the thank you page, I think they haven't figured that out. Last time I talked to Kenny, they do not allow for the exclusion of thank you page buyers. If that's the method you're talking about the 180-day exclusion of method, but there's a whole group of people in Represent on Facebook, so I would just post in there and ask that question if they allow thank you page exclusion. Peter, does a conversion pixel have a maximum duration like retargeting pixel? No. Actually, I heard that the information that hits a conversion pixel actually is like everlasting. It never goes away. That pixel will always be built up containing that information. Do you slow cook retargeting, see click to website ad, or does it make? Yeah, I'll start up. I'll start with like $10. I'm okay with spending more. I'm not slow cooking, but I'm not pushing it too hard. Because I'm just letting it optimize. If you give it too big of a budget for a small audience, it doesn't really make any sense. And I'm not trying to force it down their throats right away. I'm just trying to get those clicks back to the website, and that's more than enough money for Facebook to be responsible with it and just to bring those people back. When I try to force an ad in front of somebody's face, is when I'm trying to like close something out, or like a special. Like we're about to run a special on our store, in our new store, and I'm gonna slam people with the ad. So because it's time sensitive for me to guarantee shipping, right? So I need to do that, and I need to push hard. So that's when I'll just like, boop, $100, let's go, because I know it's going to be profitable as long as I've proven it out, in which you should at that slamming home point. You shouldn't be negative and then thinking about slamming the ad in front of somebody's face. Negative as far as ROI. But if you're positive and your retargeting ad is cooking and bringing in sales, then at the last days of your campaign, slam it home. So where on the various platforms do you place this retargeting pixel so it will fire, or when they land, when they click the button? Bruce, it is in your account settings for most of the guys. I mean, it's called the retargeting pixel. It's on Gear Bubble, I know has it. I know Teespring, Viral Style, Represent. They all have a retargeting pixel area in your settings that will allow you to do that. Patrick, that's a bit of a outside of the spectrum of what we're talking about, and I'm just starting with Shopify, so that's not really a question I feel comfortable answering. I think I just answered that for you, Peter. How do you get access to the group? Which group is that? If you're talking about Pi Scaled, you just request access. Website conversion ads optimized by pixel versus PPE ads. Okay, so what's my view? You're asking a general overall question. So the main ad, we're still using PPE, or website conversion photo. We're testing those as well. The reason for that is I'm trying to get as much real estate as possible to introduce my shirt to the market. And that means the size of the photo as well as the fact that I want people to engage with it. Website conversion photo ads are good because they give you that 1200 by 1200 and they optimize for conversion, and they also look like a PPE ad, so people engage with them. But optimizing for engagement is still proven out to be the best results right now if you used in the fashion that Albert outlines. So we go PPE ads. Now, if you're using a pixel, which we'll talk about here in a second, that is a matured pixel and matured niche pixel, then you can start introduction of website conversion ads, whether it's the website conversion photo or if it's the website conversion traditional of this 1200 by 628. Those are things that you use in your downline, and we'll talk about why and the strategy behind those. I thought I was catching up, but you guys are asking some good questions here. For how long do you run this retargeting ad? I run it until the campaign's down. Why not use the upsell feature and not the URL on the landing page? For what, Anthony? Okay. What is a different style like tank or stay? Linda, you're asking a different question, right? So now you're trying to expand on your sales. Linda asks, what about doing a different style of shirt like tank top? And we did cover this in one of the Immersion webinars, or stay congruent with the original ad. They saw initially and early on, right? They saw your shirt. The majority of people will buy that shirt because you've made it simple and you've made it congruent from the ad to the landing page to the purchase to the cart. That's what you want to retarget with. Now, downline, when you have a successful campaign and you have, I would do it around like 50 sales. Look in your Teespring analytics or your whatever your analytics on what second item has sold the most and be specific on color. I think I've seen like a handful of campaigns that I can remember out of the thousands that I've ran that the main item wasn't the lead seller. If you've noticed that, you should immediately switch up what's leading your ad and change your ad. But if you have a solid number two, you say you're running a black unisex shirt, but all of a sudden you've noticed that your red hoodie is really, really selling well, and that's why I wait till 50, because then you can actually tell if it's successful. Then you can run a retargeting ad for the red hoodie, and you don't hit your buyers with it, but you can hit, if you can exclude your buyers, exclude them, but you can say, didn't like what do we use? What do we use for these? Have you seen, actually, you should just say, have you seen this red hoodie? Or have you seen our shirt? Check out the red hoodie. Don't do anything negative on it. Don't be like, hey, I know you didn't buy, you jerk. Here's a red hoodie. Maybe you'll buy that. But say something like, have you seen, have you seen our shirt? Because we'll recognize the design, right? Check out the red hoodie. And then maybe you'll pick up some more sales on that one using that method. That is an effective method to do. And I think it's something you should introduce, but only down the road. Linda, slow cooking is something that we talk about inside of PyScaled, as well as other courses talk about it as well. Though I don't think that identify it as slow cooking except on the webinars, but it's generally a term that's apprised around spending like $5 per day and letting an ad run to gather information on it and optimize at that slow dollar amount. As Teespring has evolved, we used to just throw $20 behind any ad, or $25 at one point too, behind any ad to see if it worked, and it'd be one ad. I used to do slow cooking. Think about it back in the day, where I'd have male, female, and I think I taught this in AI targeting system as well, as a form of it, where when you start splitting out as many ads as you want, we didn't have a definition around it, but we spit out as many ads as you want, you can add it up to whatever you're comfortable with. for spending that day. So if you have 5 ads and you're only comfortable spending $25 a day, instead of doing $25 for each ad and forcing that traffic, you slow cook it and let Facebook do its thing, because people are realizing, and I've been saying this for a long time, that nobody knows Facebook better than Facebook. We all think we're big and we spend so much money per day, but we really don't spend overall that much money. And all the data that we have doesn't compare to what the big companies spend or what Facebook itself sees. So that's why I try to rely on their data as much as I can. And slow cooking is a way for them to optimize while I'm not blowing through my budget. And you ever notice that every time you increase the budget, it slows down a little bit, and it almost feels like it's thinking. It's like moving around. It's kind of spending money here, kind of spending money there. Well, it's optimizing at that budget level. It knows how much money it has left for the time that it has left, and it tries to appropriate traffic accordingly. So that's why you need to slow cook, so you're not blowing through that much money, but it's still effectively sending traffic. And you can mature your ads a little bit. It can know who to target and the profile of the people. And then as you increase your budget, your likelihood of hitting the continual right person or profile avatar is better, instead of just blowing through it, and then Facebook never has any time to do any optimization over time, and you only give it 24 hours where you could have given it 72 hours or whatever. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. That was like a top level slow cook answer. All right. Victor, I have. Victor asked, have you had successful website conversion campaigns from the beginning? I mean, not using PPE ads. I have, but they're only in the niches that I've been in for like 2 years now. So some of my dog niches and some of my nursing niche, country niche, some of the other niches that I'm more experienced in, and where I know the targeting, I have conversion pixels that are very, 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 very optimized. That's where we can start with a website conversion ad with somewhat confidence. Now, and still, after all of that said and done, sometimes don't pick up. So it's not like a guaranteed method. If your PPE is not working for you now, don't think that the website conversion ad is like the holy grail, because we still see flops just like in PPE. All right, so let me read Randy's reply here. Oh, and it clicks to it. Yeah, so you asked about when they exactly get thrown into the custom audience. Is only when they visit your landing page. Your ad doesn't cookie them, the landing page cookies them. There are lots and lots of. Jem asked a question. I find represent pixel system a bit confusing. They have 3 pixels, custom audience conversion, call to action conversion pixel. Jem, there are lots of types of conversion pixels. As in terms of what a quote unquote conversion is, right? So I use conversion pixels for lead generation, which are free, right? But I get a fire on my conversion pixel when they opt in. So what you have to be aware of is that what we're going to be teaching here today is the strategy around the conversion pixel in whole. So those two, there's conversion and a call to action pixel. So the call to action pixel is when people actually do the call to action, which I think is, in this sense, maybe the add to cart is a cool strategy that people have been testing out, converting that add to cart. If you think about the fact that that would include a lot more people, if you can do that, and I think Viral Style introduced that, you would build up a profile. If somebody adds it to cart, it's just whatever. They didn't have their credit card, or that was too hard. They've shown the intent to purchase though, or it was the tax. You have lots and lots of minimal things at that point in time to overcome versus somebody that hits your landing page. So your landing page, you have all these obstacles that come up, like, okay, they didn't really like the design, or you didn't have a color that they liked, or you didn't, they didn't like the price point or something. There's all these lists of objections that you as a marketer have to overcome to get them to add it to cart. And then once they're added to cart, there's only a few things that come up that weren't already present, like taxes maybe, or they see the rate of shipping or the time it takes to ship. These are things that you can easily overcome versus the other ones in a retargeting ad or whatever you need to do. But you'll get a lot of more data because a lot more people are going to be hitting that add to cart button versus just the people who actually convert, and they're pretty much the same person. Oh, I got you, Anthony. Um, so Anthony says she asked, want a dad version? Why put the URL? Just use the upsell feature in Teespring. Because if they wanted a dad version and they were willing to leave the website, it's not a bad thing to get. The upsell version, the upsell feature isn't a guarantee, and it's not necessarily the same thing, right? So you're trying to get the one-off purchase, and you might get somebody who thinks, "Oh, that's great." I came to it to check out the same, but I truly want a dad version, and I don't want to spend any more than $30. The upsell feature, you're trying to get somebody to buy a mom version and a dad version. Ed says, you guys rock. This course is excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for the training, Amy says. Amy says she's got stuff to do. Everybody's busy. I will be posting the webinar in the members area under resources. Amir, Teespring does run retargeting ads for any campaign that somebody hits. I think it's perfect audience that they use. That's great stuff, Matt. Awesome. Thanks. Thank you, Steve. Bruce says, do you need a large fan page to get large reach? Budgeting $5 and getting tiny reach to interest of several million, only spending $2 a day of a $5 budget. Is that your current situation, Bruce? That you're only getting to spend $2 of a $5 budget? The intent I wouldn't build your fan page, to be honest with you, with a like ad if that's what you're saying. I still use my fan page as testing. There was a question, if you saw my ad that was running, like, which one do you like, 1, 2, or 3? So we asked them, and then we boost it to the page, because you can get a lot of interaction for that. If you saw, I got 324 people to respond there for 2 cents each. So $5 gave me 324 responses on which design should I run. So then my VA will tally those up, and then I will know with somewhat confidence that that's a good sample size, and there might be way more engagements to that because it went viral. I'll have to check it out. But that's the only time we ever run a boost to a page for something like that, to get feedback. And that's what your page is really good for. But we're doing direct to customer advertisement, direct to your customer. So ads are really what's going to drive your sales, regardless of what niche you're in. Unless you're a few people that I have in my mind who have unbelievable fan pages, it's really, really hard for you to get a lot of worth or a lot of sales just by posting to your fan page. You're always going to get more, because there's always, if you're in a big niche, if I have a 70,000 person, like I have a large fan page of 50,000 people, that's a decent, and they're super passionate, but the overall audience is like 5 million. So I'm a fraction of it, right? So my page is great, but I want to get it. I can get an ad in front of 5 million people, no problem. So that's what on a successful shirt. So that's what your mentality's got to be. If you're changing up your style and you want to run fan pages, that's great. But as a direct to customer marketer myself, I can't answer a ton of questions on fan page nurturing. I just post stuff and have my VA engage with them. Brooks, cool. Kimberly says, why would traffic sales suddenly stop after a good start and no change to your ads? I don't know. It's tough to answer that question. If you can give me a little bit more about your scenario, I might be able to. Yeah. I found out that this page is dead. If you've ever had a page go dead, this is what that looks like. So I actually can only boost to that page, and then that's what happens, and then I can't actually run an ad to it anymore. I have no idea why. It's a page that I somewhat abandoned not too long ago, but yeah, that's not what you're looking for. These are what you're looking for, or lower for that matter. So I have no idea what happened there. Okay, cool. So top of the hour, let's take a little pulse check. If you guys, that's the rundown on retargeting. I just went all through as many questions as I could, and I want to move on to conversion pixel. So you guys having a good time? I'm gonna take a sip of water, stand up a little bit because it's been an hour. And is this helpful? Are you guys understanding this? Is this something you like? Give me some feedback on what's been going on. Sweet. This is the shiznit. Awesome. Okay, cool. So this one is a little bit more confusing, but for most people, I should say. And it is, I mean, in all fairness, it makes sense to me in a lot of theories, right? But I don't think it's been around long enough for people to truly understand, is it a yes or a no? Now, I'm going to say that the shirt level pixel, if you've been around long enough, if you've been in the game as long as I have, there used to be this theory on shirt level pixels. Well, I think that's been proven to be ruled out. So, in the same regard, now there's either niche, it used to be shirt or niche. I think niche proved that one out. And then niche versus master is the big theory now. So I'm going to run through a couple things. I'm going to run through the pros and cons of each, a little bit around what we're doing right now and what we're experimenting with. But we're also going to talk to you about what I think is happening behind the scenes in the AI targeting system. I'm sorry, not my course, in the audience insight tool that is actually happening, right? Because all the data is the same. That's what a lot of people don't understand, right? So what Facebook is doing and what a lookalike audience is doing, or a conversion pixel is doing, is sifting through the data that it all gathers. And the audience insight tool is cool because it's showing the representation of the data that it's getting. It's all the same stuff. It's just different ways of looking at it. And as a programmer, I get that, right? Because it's all housed in the same area and it's just being accessed in different ways. So that's one thing, right? So we're going to talk about why it makes sense in the niche pixel and why it makes sense in the master pixel. The other thing we want to talk about is that changing your strategy or shifting or pivoting or anything will cost you a slight downturn, right? So if you go from niche to master, you might see a slight decrease, right, in your effectiveness or your strategy. And you have to pivot with which way you're going. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and where each pixel I think makes sense. Is that cool with everybody? All right, cool. Val says she is such a retargeting lame-o, and I'm just repeating that for everybody because I think Val is awesome and she is not a lame-o. Uh, she, if you're not retargeting Val, then next time I see you, we're gonna have some words. Awesome. All right, so everybody cool with this? I hope nobody's. I'm just busting somebody's bubble. But the shirt level pixel is gone, right? We used to run this. It's incredibly daunting. I had a guy doing this with adding this. I had a guy at one point doing that, and it's super daunting. It doesn't make any sense. So what you have to understand is that a pixel. I don't think a pixel necessarily, when people say it starts with no data, I don't think it starts with no data. What I necessarily think that it does do, and I just lost my question box, is that it starts like the audience insight tool. So if you were targeting 25 and 25 and above males, no, let's just do wide open. All of the United States, 25 wide open. The data that I think is quote unquote inside your conversion pixel is like this. Now, if I'm in the nursing niche, we'll go here. If I'm in the nursing niche, does my user profile have any idea what exactly is happening or who I'm looking for? Does anybody think that it does? So if it was wide open, Facebook, because Facebook's trying to learn how to target. They're not starting from square one. They're starting from the general audience, your overall. They're using your data to build a profile on somebody, and this is the profile that's being built. If you're targeting everybody in the United States, this is your avatar. And it makes perfect sense, right? Because a large majority of the population in the United States is conservative. This is like one of the most popular freaking games that are there. But none of these things have much correlation with each other, right? What you're doing is you're essentially giving it a blank slate, but at the same time, it's full of crap. So what I think happens, and my theory on what happens with conversion pixels, and then say if you're a niche, so maybe you get a ping on the nursing niche, but it really doesn't have, and that's being general too, guys. You might even have to get to this point. You might need to have several sales for it to have a really good idea of who you're exactly going for. It doesn't make sense that after one sale in the nursing niche that you would ever have enough information to define that person as a nurse over anything else. Because at the same time, there's all this other crap in there, right? So, oh shit, sorry. Excuse my French, but I forget. I got a screen. I got to put my gunners on. I have this massive screen and I forget it's small for you guys. There you go. Better? Cool. All right, so people saying that's better. Awesome. To get to even the point of niche finding, I think that it takes a lot of conversions, and there's no one that can say that it's 50 or 100. I think the more you have, the better. But what it needs to do is correlate information together. So what you need to understand is that this is where you're starting off. Now, once you build that profile, I mean, think about the interest, right? Think about when you found some huge page, you found some like in the nursing niche. Let's go, not some huge page, but a tiny page. Really? There's a lot of big pages. How about all nurses? So think about this. Think about if you were going to get a sale, you were to targeted the nursing niche, but you got a sale, and this is the page that registers, or these are the pages that registered because this is the one that they like. You guys hear me? Hello. Am I back? All right. Am I back? Can you guys hear me? Ah, sorry, guys. I'm getting hit with the tropical storm, and my internet has been sort of crappy. Where exactly did I drop out at? Okay, I'm gonna rewind a couple steps, and then I'm gonna go for it. So my theory is that they're building up a profile, and at first, it's not easy to draw correlations. It's okay to say, all right, this one sale is fine, right? So this guy happened to just be full of information about the nurse. But what if the next sale happens by a like by association, and Facebook can't draw much correlation between those two people, right? And that's the difference that you have to understand between a pixel that is matured and a pixel that is not matured. So a matured pixel, the more fires that are on there, the better it can build these profiles that we've been trying to target to begin with. Now, does much information translate downline from what you fill in here? Does it go? Does all nurses register because the person liked all nurses and you targeted all nurses? Does it register in the conversion pixel? I can't properly tell you, but I know that over time correlations are being drawn and your pixel is getting better and better and better. This is why we don't recommend you with a fresh pixel or an unmatured pixel to go ahead and go for a website conversion ad because you're drawing too many conclusions there, right? It's better to optimize for something that can be easily done on Facebook's end than something like a conversion pixel where they have to rely on information that's within here, which my theory is that that information is very, very broad stroked. So what is cool is that once you do have a matured pixel, now if you're doing it on the nursing niche, which it's my favorite niche, so I keep using, you're going to be allowing Facebook, these correlations are going to be getting gathered within your pixel, and the avatar is going to be built because that's what they do. An avatar is right here in front of you. This is the avatar of a person who likes under the broad term nursing. It's not like something under the broad term nursing. Overall, avatar is being built. And that's great for your niche, but it still overall doesn't help you with the individual shirt because remember, we're walking our way down the correlation, the level of correlation. Just because 25 to 34 were buyers for shirt A does not mean 25 to 34 will be the buyers for shirt B. So you still have to do your homework and you still have to um, refine your ad like we teach. Refine your ad and make sure that you're targeting the people that are responding to that individual level. So the matured pixel will get you great a fantastic starting point. Like right out the gate, we can get solid sales and data gathered on a shirt in the nursing niche because I've been in it so long that that Facebook thinks that I'm a nurse, and it's probably because I don't have a job listed on my site anymore, my Facebook profile anymore. But they keep targeting me with like, hey, you want to switch jobs and blah blah blah. Here's a nursing job, which fantastic bonuses if anybody's a nurse in nursing field. Anyway, sidebar on that, but they're building profiles up, and as they do that, and as you allow them to refine it, they can draw correlations on who you're going to do. Obviously, Facebook is not stupid; they know better than we do who to target. But we have to steer them in the right path, and that's why they gave us the conversion pixel in the first place. Does that make sense for you guys? Now, yes, thank you guys. Making sure you're still responding with me. Now, that's what the niche pixel is. Now, a fine point that me and my boy Ali were going back and forth in the group about the other day that you have to understand it's not about like everything is not the same across the stream against what you're selling or what you're advertising for, not even if you're selling. Like CPM matters in certain areas for things to work versus in other areas. The more niche I get, the harder it is for me to get what's called CPM. If you know what that is, that's the cost per thousand people for seeing your ad. Now, if I'm targeted, CPM doesn't generally matter that much for me if I'm locked in, right? If I know I'm putting it in front of a nurse and it's about me standing out versus the 100 other people hitting that same niche. If I'm going broad, if I'm serving up a shirt to a term like beer, then, or if I'm serving up to like cat or dog or like all these things that are massive, right? So let's go back over here. This is big, but there's 300 million people in the United States. 340, I think somebody told me the other day. I haven't looked at like the Census Bureau or whatever. I know it's high, right? It's the third most populated country on the planet, and it's big. So we know that 10 to 15 million people is too high too. I know personally know that there's like 8 million nurses in the United States. So there's a general likes by association built up here. But at the same time, even if it was 10 million, that's a fraction of the United States. Now, what if I was to enter the term beer? A little better, right? 10%? You can't do it here, but you can add additional onto that under the behavioral of people that buy beer. So we're getting broader and broader, right? What if I was going to do no demographic targeting? You ever guys heard of no demographic targeting? I'm sorry, no interest targeting. Obviously, there's demographic. No interest targeting. No interest, but you are demographically targeting somebody. So if I was going to target men that were 21 and above, let's go with beer again. From priorly working at a beer company, I can tell you that there is more than 15 million people in this country in this age demographic who drink beer. So think about that. And why is that useful for us? We have to understand that the message that you put in front of somebody and the way that you target is different from one to the other. Beer shirts that you see that run, or patriotic American shirts, or this, that, and the other, people are like, how do they target? Well, they might test at a local level or a small level, but generally you can get really, really good results on no demographic targeting. I keep saying that. No interest targeting if the message is broad enough, right? But it has to resonate with everybody within that. And your thought process has to be congruent all the way through, right? So Ali asked me about cheap CPMs and how people do that. Well, you can get some really, really cheap traffic as far as CPM wise, as the ad showing and the image post, or the image showing up in somebody's face. Excuse me. You can get some cheap traffic out there because you're not necessarily optimizing all that narrow, or it can ignore all the people that you're getting congested traffic, like the nurse niche or the hunting niche or the country niche. The people that get beat up all the time, they're all over here to the right, while the people over here to the left are for free, or free for you to get an ad put in front of them, right? That's why there's cheap traffic for some people who target broad. Now, if maybe there's some other thing that you were talking about, Ali, but more than likely, from the people and the groups and the masterminds that I'm in, the people that get the lowest CPMs are the people, and I'm talking about low. Like I can get like sub 2 in the nurse niche after optimization, but I'm talking straight out the gate, sub $1. You're targeting broad, and you can do that with a shirt that's very general. You could put a I like beer shirt in front of these people, or in front of these people, and get some decent results depending on what you're optimizing for. I wouldn't do engagement. I might do clicks or website conversions if I have a matured pixel, but engagement doesn't make much sense, right? Because why would an openly general audience engage with an ad that has something to do with beer if they're not targeted? So the more targeted you go, the more PPE makes sense up front, and the less interest that you use. If you use no interest, the broader you go, the more matured your pixel has to be. Do you see that? Do you see the correlation there? There has to be a give and take for your ad to happen. If you have a master pixel, you can target broad. Master pixels work. I've seen it a lot. People make a lot of money off of master pixels. Now, I'm not here to sell you a master pixel, but if you're building a master pixel, it works. I mean, you can, and the cool thing is now, if you guys haven't seen the updates with Facebook, at least in the Power Editor, I spend all my time there. I don't know if it's in the Ads Manager. You can add more than one pixel. And you can get, if you're using a precise interest, you can, a precise niche, and you're targeting a precise niche, you can still build up your master pixel at the same time, because what are we trying to achieve and what do we want them to correlate? We want them to correlate information on t-shirt buyers, people who buy stuff online. You don't think Facebook's gathering that information? I would have you go look at the behavioral interest and see what's inside of there. They gather up that information because companies want to use that. Big retail companies, you don't think Walmart wants Facebook to know who exactly they should target and make their ads cost effective? You think they use a lot of what I'm showing you in front of you right now? Walmart, you think they can go real niche? They have everything in front of people, for people. You can get tires and food in the same place. Somebody's not running, and they're across the entire planet. Somebody's not running niche ads for them. They're going very, very general and then relying on retargeting on the page level. That's why and Amazon, most of the ads that are all over my Amazon, most of the Amazon ads that are all over my Facebook newsfeed are the product that I just left, or a similar product to one I was just on, because that's how they rely on you to get niche, because they're just too massive. That's why Budweiser has brands that come out on the like Bud Light Lime. They use the umbrella brand to bring in the niche people. All right, does that make sense? A lot of sense. Great. Give me some feedback, guys. We had some people there. Got a lot of you on the call. Is that making sense of what the two applications are? I wouldn't go real niche with a master pixel as much as I would with a niche pixel. You can build both simultaneously. And the fact that some people are so hardlining against one or the other without fully testing or vetting each one of them or seeing the application of each is kind of weird to me. Because I know people on both sides of the spectrum who make hundreds of thousands of dollars per month doing this. So don't tell me that it doesn't work. All right, cool. So, guys, somebody was asking, here's Walmart, or I'm sorry, Amazon. Amazon's got a profile. What's the avatar of somebody who buys on Amazon? If your interest is in Amazon, if you fit on this, you probably buy stuff online, right? The overall profile is constantly being gathered and rolled up on Facebook. People are trying to constantly I'm sorry, Facebook is trying to constantly understand its audience better because it's a business that relies on the capabilities of the marketer. So the broader you go, the more your pixel has to be built up so that your ads have information to rely on. Think about the grandmas and grandpas and stuff like that. The only way that people sold that, or that many grandparent shirts being sold, is because people had a good message with lots of variabilities in it. Remember all the options the grandma shirt's a grandma thing. It had Nana, it had Mimi, and it had Meemaw. It had all these different options because they know the overall profile of the person is like 55 and above female. But they know within that audience, probably the majority of them were called grandma, and then they had all the other options that were available for people to buy. Because they went super broad, attacked it with the biggest name, and then gave the options for the remaining. But they weren't probably using many demographics with that. And they probably started locally. How do you start locally with t-shirt buyers? That's how you start locally. Watch this. Boop. Look how many women register for Teespring as an interest. I don't think there's 2.5 million Teespring marketers for them to get rolled up into this. Yes, other marketers might see your shirt, but guess what? Other marketers are already seeing your shirt. You live in that reality. Don't let your business struggle because of something like that. You can start locally and build your way up. So up to any, grandmas would be generally 55 and above, right? You could probably be lower. Actually, I think that it's probably more like this. We're in the 50s. Somebody on here could probably correct me, right? But I wouldn't even plug in parents here because most people, once you're at a level, or you're going like this, there's 25 to 30 million people. You understand that the majority of people don't fill these things out. The parents or the grandparents or the options within Facebook's profile. And so what you're doing is you're capitalizing on that your message is really good, right? You proved it locally, it proved out, it's sold, and now you're scaling your way up. Okay. So the pros, let's cover just real quick of the niche pros. You will build a better profile up of your niche, per se, right? So your niche is nursing, and you've now had 1,000 people or 10,000 sales or whatever register in the nursing niche. You've now built up a pretty strong profile of who those people are. You can start running website conversion ads with somewhat confidence and more confidence as time goes on. You have to understand that each shirt is different, so you have to refine accordingly, but you're building up strong niche pixels and understanding that niche. Problem is, you're siloed. The con is you're siloed in the nursing niche. A nurse niche pixel doesn't do a damn thing for you in the country niche. So then you're going to go over to the country niche and have to build up your way again. It's a little bit more time. Overall, the business sense, it makes sense, right? Makes a lot of sense to do niche pixels. But it takes time. Now, who's to say you couldn't optimize off of t-shirt buyers in a master pixel and build your nurse, it's registering hits on your nursing niche pixel. You can do that. You should do that. You can. General pixel, master pixel, whatever you call it, can be built up over time, but you can find t-shirt buyers. The correlation that will be drawn across all niches of people who buy t-shirts. It's very general, right? But it will at least lead you in the right direction. It's not going to help you if you go super down, you're niching down, but you can have a better chance of introducing a master pixel, whether it's shared or whether it's not shared. That's a business choice for you, but you can have advantage. I've seen it work. I've done it. I've tested it. I can't, people that I've seen somebody be like, master pixels don't work. No, master pixels work. It's up to you if you want to spend the money to do it, and if you have the volume to cover it, cover the cost of it, or if it, whatever, if you're in a group and you share it. Guys, it wouldn't be an option on Facebook if it didn't work. Anything and everything on Facebook that is an option is there because it works. They might be testing it, but they know to test it better than we do. The shit that people say and think, they don't think all the way through when they're saying something like, share pixels don't work. That can't possibly work. No, why did Facebook even make it a possibility? And somebody's like, website conversion ads don't work, but click to websites do, so I use those. Why would website conversion ads even be on that list? It's on purpose that they're on that list, okay? And that's why I lead you to this tool for your targeting. That's why I like you to target and use Facebook's tools to further your business. Yes, you're relying on it, but you're utilizing. It's like saying that I'm not going to use Google Analytics. Like, of course, if I'm on Google, if I have the capability of using Google Analytics, of course you do it. Okay? Does that make sense for a lot of people? Dean, I don't know if Dean asked about the grandma shirt. A lot of, the pie shirt is a great campaign, or a great understanding of what happens, right? So there's a massive amount of data around what kind of buyer that is now gathered up under the pixel of the pie campaign. The grandma shirt was something that sold similar numbers over the course of its entire campaign and all the iterations of it. So that person, the people were like, I don't even know how you go so broad. I can't find grandma interests. Well, they weren't using interests. What they did was, it's a form of scaling out, removing your interest, right? It's being refined. People are working on it. We're testing it. But over time, people are going to get pretty damn good at, I start here, then I start here, then I start, I remove this, I remove this, I remove this, and then we keep going out, because Facebook is a source of niches, right? You can find niches in it, but from the get-go, we understand that not everybody does this, right? So it's hard for me to build up interest-wise 8 million nurses on Facebook, but I know there's 8 million nurses. It's because, and the cool thing is that the large majority of the people in the United States are on Facebook, right? So any interest or any niche that hasn't have a full representation on here is because the people are more than likely not filling out the information. But it's more likely that they didn't fill out the information than they aren't on Facebook, right? They don't have a profile. All right. Yeah, Dan asked, you recommend using one master pixel and one niche specific pixel on each campaign. You can certainly do that. This webinar is not here to sell you on a technique, because we're constantly testing ourselves. But the idea that I can rely on a master pixel and a fresh niche, that a master pixel that is built on gathering information on t-shirt buyers as a whole. Because eventually, guys, it's not going to correlate on a certain niche, right? You might start your master pixel in this niche, but once you're selling it using, the same pixel, using it over here, using it over here, using it over here, the profile that's going to get built up is t-shirt buyers. Because Facebook's going to correlate something, and it can't do niches. You got to think about all the information that's on Facebook about you and what you do, and that doesn't necessarily pertain to your specific job or your specific niche. Or if you're a hunter, what are all the other things that you do and you're active in Facebook about? All the ads that rotate through your feed, they're not all in your silo that you're currently you're thinking that you're advertising to, right? So I worked at Anheuser-Busch. It wasn't just getting slammed with Anheuser-Busch ads over and over, or beer ads over and over again. I have other things in my life, right? So that's the rotation of ads and feeds in there, and the fact that I have a bigger profile than that. So there's many niches that I am involved with. So once, that's what I don't like necessarily about the fact that people think that Facebook can automatically, you know, in a conversion pixel or niche pixel takes time. So you need to build it up over time, and it's important that you do, and eventually it will outweigh a master pixel. But I'd rather have a pixel being used right off the bat and then optimizing on t-shirt buyers than I would on a fresh pixel that doesn't know exactly where I'm at, right? Eventually the niche pixel will win, but it's really going to be tough unless you have a lot of sales. Yeah, Canty's talking about how he gets pounded with ads from Amazon and Target. Yeah, same here, dude. Amazon is on. eBay is really good at it too. This Webby is worth a ton. Great content, man. Thank you very much. Thank you for so much awesome info. You're welcome, Mary. How do you build a master pixel from scratch, Pat? So I don't think Ads Manager eventually it will weigh itself down, but what you can do is you got to like your niche, the niche that you've sold the most in, kind of defaultly becomes a master pixel, right? So if I was going to build my own master pixel, I haven't. I shared a pixel, but if I was going to build a master pixel, I do kind of have a master pixel now that I think about it, but the go-to niche that I have would then become my master pixel. And it's not like a ready, set, go, you're a master pixel. You need to make sure they understand that it's not going to necessarily work over time. So you're going to be starting a lot from scratch, but at least they have a general profile that can quickly become kind of drag its way over. And you're going to dilute that one pixel. So, I mean, it's this whole strategy, right? So you're going to have to want to build up a replacement nurse, like in the nurse niche. You start lacing 2 pixels on, one for tracking, one for your optimization. And then you can eventually start using that, the tracking one is a master pixel, or have that become your niche pixel, which I recommend having the tracking pixel. So the tracking pixel can then be used on other niches, and they can all register as a hit and a fire under those. And eventually that will become a pretty substantial pixel, right? So then you'd have to build it up to a point where then you can try to test it on new niches. It's a process. Unless you're going to share it or use somebody's share, you're going to have to do some work to build a master pixel up. It's not easy. I remember when we started it's just like a niche pixel, but then you're going to have to do it in several niches. Still with you. Cool. And there's no real setting. So Bruce says, just because a master pixel includes 50,000 buyers, how could a shared master pixel from someone else improve your conversions if the niches aren't your niches? So, I mean, is that an assumption that 50,000 buyers were in one niche? If they were in one niche, then it's not really going to do that much for you if you're in a new niche. But what I'm saying is that a true master pixel, like the one that's out there, or there's a handful of them out there I've seen. A true master pixel is a pixel that's been used across tons of niches, so that the correlation is not the niche. Don't have you're in the mind of a marketer right now. Instead of, you need to be in the mind of a programmer, where the correlation of the data that's inside that pixel is if it's used across all niches, is going to be found at the general profile of the person, right? The profile, the avatar of the person. What's the most common thing across 50,000 buyers and 100 different niches? Well, it's going to be the fact that they're probably online spenders. And then that becomes your pretty good profile of online spender. And then you're going to direct that master pixel In a niche, you're targeting, right? So you're going to use it in your targeting, whether it's broad or it's targeted, but you're going to direct the online buyer profile into a niche, the nursing niche, and then it's going to look for the nurses who are online buyers. Does that make sense? Is it possible to integrate more niche pixels into one master pixels? You can just use the master pixel if you're trying to start off, and if you're in the niche pixel stage right now, and you're doing well and you're making it, go into your power editor and lay the soon to be master pixel on as your tracking pixel, as in the last stage of your ad, and then information will be gathered within the master pixel. It will register within the master pixel, and help you there. Okay. Um, I got a question real quick here. Power editor. Give me 1 second, guys. Is this an informative call for you guys? You having fun? Give me some yeses in the chat box if that is the case while I'm digging this up. Sorry, my voice is starting to hurt a little bit. All right. Let me check the yeses out before I talk. Awesome. Hope you guys understand that. I hope we clear up some confusion what's going on. I know it's confusing for a lot of people at any stage, really, with the pixels. So if you're feeling bad, trust me, you're not the only one, because there's a lot of people on this list saying that they needed some help and some guidance on it. So add. So I got my second amendment. So this is the ad set, right? So this is going to be what the optimization is done on, right? So what I'm going to do is create. So this is a campaign. This is the ad. Ad, your conversion pixel is what it's getting optimized on. And then what you're going to go over here to your ads, you're going to select all your stuff, and you're going to get your tracking pixel. So let me get that out. And that would be, yep. So conversion pixel there, tracking pixel there, optional. Got it? Kimberly, don't worry about it. Kimberly says she's confused. I tried to lay it out there as best as I could, but it is still a complicated subject, right? And there's a lot of people that say and are vocal on each side of the ballpark, or whatever. I don't know. Of the court is what I should have said. But that's still okay. So just keep up what you're doing, and then slowly move into which route that you're going. And this is just about tracking what makes sense for your business sense, right? We want to make sure that you understand that I'm not pushing anything on you. Even if you want to do the shirt by shirt thing, that's fine. But imagine how long it takes to build a niche pixel up. It takes even longer to build up a single shirt, right? So, and it doesn't really do you any good, because even if you sold 1,000, that's really not that great of an information builder and only helps you when you're doing up to 1,000. So, that's what I want you to realize there, is that we're just trying to talk through some things that I'm seeing in the market right now. Mark says, this is a great question, do both pixels have to be added to the t-shirt platform? No. This is the one that you're ultimately worried about, and then the tracking pixel will just register data. So obviously the data is going to go into what is being used as my pixel, and then this would be my, if I'm creating a master pixel, then this is the one you're going to want to go after, right? So this is your master pixel, getting the information but not tracking the conversion. Make sense? And we had Mark asked that as Mark, you might have been the only person that asked that. Bill, I'm going to do my best. It's almost a 2-hour webinar. That usually takes me about 15 minutes to render, and then to upload to YouTube, it takes about an hour. Peter, this is a conversion ad. Make sure you're on a conversion ad. If you're on a PPE ad, it won't do that. He says he doesn't see the conversion and tracking pixel in his Power Editor. That is because you might be in the wrong ad set. Tell me if I'm wrong. Or ad type, tell me if I'm wrong. But this is a website conversion. Can you talk a little bit about why a pixel is not verified, what you do? Yeah, you can see that mine is not verified because we don't sell in the Second Amendment niche because of it's kind of, does Facebook like it? Does it not like it? I don't know. So we don't sell it there, and so it's not active. So in order to verify or get it active, you just need to register a sale under the pixel. So if we don't have a master pixel and no niche pixel, should we just do PPE until we get some sales? Right. So if you're brand new in a niche, that's why I want you to use a PPE, right? If you're brand new in a niche and you don't have a master pixel or a niche pixel in that niche, then what good does a website conversion ad do for you? I'd rather get you optimizing off of engagement in a niche that you can target, right? What's more likely, that you're going to be able to optimize off of conversions on a blank slate profile, or that you can target where it's optimizing off of engagement on good targeting? That's the difference. People don't understand why an ad works in this application versus this application. Bill says it's great. This is such a relief to get a handle on this. Perfect. Dan says, what is the tracking pixel? Is it the master pixel or the niche specific pixel? Okay, so your tracking pixel, it's plural for a reason, right? So it's tracking pixels because you ultimately will always have your conversion pixel be your tracking pixel on a website conversion, because all the data that gets registered here will be tracked. You're converting, it's going to take the information and track that data so that this can optimize better. But then you can add a pixel on top of that then can be tracked as well, but not necessarily converted. So it's going to take information that gets converted under here and track it here. So this is your master pixel. When you're trying to, this is you going from niche to build a master pixel. So make sure that you're aware of that, right? So that you're going from niche to master pixel, you're trying to build a master pixel. So in all your niche ads, you would have a niche ad here. I'm sorry, a niche pixel here, and your master pixel would be here. Now, you could flip-flop in a new niche to where you would rely on your master pixel once you eventually built one, or you get one shared. And then you have a niche pixel in the tracking here that helps you build up that tracking pixel, relying on t-shirt buyer information at the master pixel level. Okay, is that clear? Dan, I want to make sure you're good on that. So the master pixel is always the tracking pixel and not the conversion one. No, I just explained that flip-flop, so hopefully that you understood that, and make sure give me a yes if that makes sense. Um, there's an indication that Facebook is going to combine all pixels into one. I don't know how you're going to combine all pixels into one, so I'd have to get pointed to the information that you have. Now they're getting smarter. They're helping you get smaller with the ability to do all the things that you're seeing right here. This wasn't possible at one point, and then it became possible. Same with sharing pixels and so on and so forth. All right, cool. But again, Ann, if you know something I don't, or you've seen some kind of thing alert from Facebook that I missed, please let me know. If PM me or put it in the group or something, we can talk about it. Also, when Facebook says they're going to do something, A, it doesn't happen always on time, and B, it doesn't necessarily end up happening. I remember when they first announced that they were going to take targeting to the ad set level and out of the ads, that took like 8 months for it to happen. All right, thanks for sharing on the info and the time you were sharing. No problem, Don. So, so using a shared master pixel on a new niche with a website conversion or click to website before you have any engagement or sales would hold on. So using a shared master pixel on a new niche with a website conversion ad before you have any engagement sales would be ineffective. It could be effective, right? Because you're going to point now a true master pixel, like a true master pixel, not one that you're maybe built at this point, but one that you've built your way up to, right? Or you've shared, and something that's got lots of 50,000 plus sales, right? So you're going to have that. You could use that plus your targeting to see if you can get some sales using a website conversion ad. That is a strategy. What is still effective is targeting and basing in off of engagement. The reason PPE ads work is that you are mixing targeting with engagement, which is what Facebook is really essentially all about. Facebook wasn't intended to be a selling platform. It's evolved into that, right? And it's becoming easier and easier. But the PPE ads are effective because it's meant for social activity, and so is Facebook. And then happens that you have a link to something to purchase in that, right? In that ad. So just make sure that you're understanding that regardless if you have a PPE ad, or I'm sorry, whether you have a master pixel or a niche pixel or a t-shirt pixel, PPE ads will always be effective because they're based off of engagement as long as you're doing the proper targeting. Now that's why I was telling you that targeting beer and using a PPE ad doesn't make any sense at all. And that's why you would only be able to attempt such things when you have a beer niche pixel or a master pixel. If we're just starting, would it be helpful to add online buyers and Teespring to the demographic of our niche interest? I would do Teespring. I wouldn't necessarily do online buyers. You can test it, but those behaviors haven't been the best. They are getting better, but they haven't been the best. 1200 by 1200, we covered that already for the PPE ad image size. Uh, if you have a dominant niche with a mature conversion pixel, is it okay to start from that one to build the master pixel, or am I going to ruin it? What I would do is start registering a master pixel under your dominant niche using this method here. So you're never going to want to like stop converting under your dominant niche pixel, right? Because that doesn't make any sense in your business sense. But what you can do is rely on it. It's going to take you time. No one said that the master pixel was going to fall out of the sky for you, right? It's not. It's taken the people who share their pixel for money. I mean, they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get to that point, right? So you have to weigh your business sense. If you think you have the volume and the intention to cover the cost of something like that, then it's going to be something that's valuable for you because it's powerful. But it has to be used with the right method. That's back to my point about the CPM. Like if I get super targeted and I say that I want to target moms who are nurses who drink coffee, I'm also going to target the same person that's getting targeted by moms and by nurses and by coffee ads. So I'm going to be fighting for traffic, and my CPM is probably not going to be that low. Now, if I target everybody in the United States and I let it slow cook and I optimize for something like website conversions or something that has a lot of influence on CPM, and I let it run, then guess what? You're probably going to get a low CPM. But that it has to be about your intention all the way through. And that's why we don't recommend link ads for PPE. That's why we don't recommend click to websites for optimization on your main ad, just because clickers aren't buyers, and so on and so forth, right? All right, guys. So we're top of the hour again, and I got to tell you, I can feel my sore throat. So I hope this has been helpful for you. We covered everything I wanted to cover today, and I tried to answer as many questions as I could. If I missed something, I'm sorry. Post it in the group, and we'll try to cover it. I hope that you had a lot of fun. I hope this was some great content. This is the last webinar that I had necessarily planned for the duration of the PyScale program, or that came up as a bonus. So it's been a lot of fun. I know we still got a couple weeks until the group closes. I know we've been having some posts back and forth about what to do. Albert and I are still deciding that, but it doesn't really. It's tough. It's tough for us to continue to support you guys at the level that we've had you grown to expect, because we really tried to be super active in it, and there's only so many hours in the day, right? So I hope you guys had a lot of fun on these webinars. I hope that this one was helpful, because this one was a little bit off the cuff. If you've ever known me, or if you've been on my webinars, it's probably the most slides that I've ever had. But these are just the things that I've been seeing, and as a programmer, I think about in the back of my mind. And I think that helps explain the niche versus master pixel. So for you guys, what makes sense in your business, go through that, and that's your homework from this, okay? All right, guys. Awesome. Yeah, the members area will never go down. So everything that we've ever done, there's like a handful of hours in the course, and then I think we've tallied at like 14 hours of webinars. 14 hours of webinars, all in PyScale. So hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys had a lot of fun, and I'll see you in the group. All right, take care. Good Schmidt.